Okay, Irshad Manji, you had a problem in Amsterdam where you were having an event about renewal of Islam, and that event was disturbed by a group of Belgian radical Muslims. Is that something that happens to you quite often?
What happened in Amsterdam with the descending of 22 jihadis, that kind of mob scene has not happened to me before. I certainly have had individuals spit at me, throw items at me, threaten me with death, but not this gang-like mentality. And so it was something of a surprise. But I have to say, and I'm not trying to declare a stiff upper lip, I have to say that I was never afraid. Never, not once.
But what do they reproach you? Why did they attack?
Oh, I mean, it was like a grab bag of excuses. How dare you speak about Islam? You are kafir. You are, which means unbeliever. They shouted takfir, which is the act of declaring a fellow Muslim to be an apostate, and therefore she should be, or he should be, in my case, she should be executed. It was a direct order to execute. And then another person, shouted, "We will break her neck." They had every excuse from the rights of Palestinians to "you can't be gay and Muslim" to "who the hell do you think you are?" It was just right across the board. But I'm surprised to that it would happen now. These guys have had 10 years of knowing, what I stand for, to come and upset or disturb any one of my events. I believe it happened now because I am openly talking about Allah and love and how the two of them go together. And so even as they were sitting, with their arms folded, glaring at me, I raised the book and pointed to the word love, and I told them, "I love you."
But is it significant? Is it kind of a tendency where you see that in the past years a harsher position is taken by these groups in Europe specifically, or is it a complete aberrant group,
right.
A marginal group?
It's neither common nor aberrant. It is what's going on, I believe, is that these jihadis are seeing that reformist Muslims are finally beginning to come together rather than working in isolation. In fact, the event in Amsterdam that night was two high-profile reformist Muslims speaking together. And I believe that that is a threat to them. And so it may be that, there is more dogma flourishing among some elements within the Muslim community, but it is also important to recognize that reformist Muslims are beginning to create networks of their own. And so this really does become a war of spirits as opposed to the kind of thing where we, run away because we're being intimidated. We just will not be intimidated anymore.
And if you use the word the word war, is it a war within Islam, or is it, as was often said, a clash between Islam and Western values?
It is certainly not a clash between Islam and Western values. I have deep faith in Allah. It is the driving relationship of my life. And I embrace freedom at the same time, which, by the way, is not merely a Western value. After all, the father of the Persian Empire, Cyrus, came up with the idea for religious freedom. If that was purely a Western idea, how then do we explain him? So it is really about universal ideas and the people who advocate them finding one another. And as for the war, is it a war within Islam? It's easy to say, well, yes, because it's Muslim versus Muslim. But the reality is that we as Muslims living in open societies like Belgium, like the Netherlands, like Canada, and so forth, we don't exist in isolation. We are living in a pluralistic society. And so we also need progressive non-Muslims to be joining us and supporting us and staying by our side. And what happened in Amsterdam the other night was exactly that. Nobody who came to the event ran away after the Jihadis stormed in. They could have. They had the opportunity. Nobody was closing the door and not letting them go. They stood by and in fact made a human shield for me and Tawfik Dibi. It was a marvelous demonstration of pluralists standing, literally standing our ground together.
So you would say that basically you are optimistic about the chances, the opportunities for reform?
I am optimistic, but understand this, it's not going to happen without serious effort. We can't simply, sit back complacent and say, well, fine, the Tawfik Dibis and the Irshad Manjis of the world are taking care of this. We'll just, wait until the victory is won. No. Everybody who is interested in the survival and flourishing of democracy and individual liberty and universal human rights has to find his or her own way of standing with reformist Muslims. And my new book, Allah, Liberty and Love, shows everybody, Muslim and non-Muslim, how and not just why they can do that.